Hello, good morning. Thank you all for joining us today. We're going to talk a little bit today about SAP's AI in the Business Technology Platform and talk about how that can extend what you can create in our ecosystem. My name is Walter, and together with Aaron and Siva, we're going to spend the next 60 minutes going deeper into Business AI, our Business Technology Platform, and how we can complement this with AWS technologies to build better outcomes. I'll start and speak about the Business AI story that we've developed at SAP. I'll then have Aaron and Siva speak about different aspects of our developer platform, which we call the Business Technology Platform. So SAP's overall portfolio strategy can be seen by this diagram we call the sunrise diagram. At the base of the portfolio is the Business Technology Platform, which serves developers both internally and externally to SAP. The centerpiece of our portfolio is SAP's S/4HANA, our cloud ERP platform and solution. You can build this on top of S/4 with industry-specific solutions as well. And so complementing that, our ERP SAP has all the enterprise software to manage other parts of your business, such as SuccessFactors for the HR. You have Concur for travel bookings and expenses, and Ariba for procurement and spend management. We also have a business network solution that has the same name, a digital supply chain for distribution management, and a customer experience CRM suite. Building on these apps are ecosystem solutions, add-ons to the software from SAP. To further enhance the functionalities of the system, you can also build your own apps on SAP BTP. And this has been our portfolio for some time. In fact, past couple of years, we actually added onto it this layer of business AI. And this business AI permeates everything across this diagram. That way you can get AI at the ready and at your fingertips within your own SAP landscape. So let's focus on the AI capabilities contained within each of these components, going from the sunrise diagram. So this is our full stack that we use, and you can consume SAP in 3 different ways. In the kind of middle, you see the embedded AI capabilities. These are AI features built into SAP that you already have in place. So our product teams looked at the pain points that people had and looked at the features that were necessary, and we found the use cases that were best to deliver. And so by the end of Q3 of this year, we already delivered over 100 use cases. I don't want time to tell you about all of them, but I'll just talk about one, which is goods receipt processing in transportation management. We had a very large German car company who actually had a lot of receipts come in, transportation notes. And so the idea was that they had human beings manually taking these notes, delivery notes, processing them on a machine. And over time, it was wrought with error, notes were lost, and it was just very difficult. And so we showed them this capability, which is basically using business OCR. We scan the documents, whether it be handwritten or actually typed in as a receipt. And that data, which is at that point unstructured, becomes structured through our document information extraction platform. That platform actually takes it and converts it to, let's say, the number of widgets you delivered, the person that delivered it to you, and all of that information, automating all that process. They saved a lot of time and found it very useful to now not have this error-prone process of manually providing data and adding into the system. And so by virtue of having this technology, you can actually automate and save time for individuals and also reduce error rates. On top of that is Joule, our SAP Copilot. Joule can navigate through all of SAP's applications. So underneath you saw the embedded AI capabilities. You see a list of all the different applications we have. With Joule, it's extended across all of SAP's apps, and by the end of the year, your 80% most use cases will be supported through there. And the third way is leveraging AI is using customized use cases, which is the blue box on the right-hand side. And this is built on top of SAP's BTP. Inside of BTP is the AI Foundation, which includes our Generative AI Hub, which is what I'll talk about in a moment as well. So I'll start actually about going bottom to top on our AI Foundation. On the bottom is the business data context. It creates more relevance as we incorporate your business data and provide a profile to a specific context and any AI capability that you've built. The AI Lifecycle Management provides capabilities which simplify the process of building new AI features, including support from the library of large language models we support, and developers inside our Gen AI Hub can access more than 25 different models today. Also, you heard yesterday that in the keynote, Andy asked you that we also are adding support, day 0 support, for the new Nova models as well. So that's part of the 25 models we support. And on top of all this are AI services. AI services include technologies like business OCR and document information extraction, which is used in the example I gave you with transportation management, but it's also used in Concur. So if any of you use Concur for your companies, when you leave and go home from this trip, you get a copy of your hotel receipt, You take a picture of it in your Concur app, business OCR scans it, much the same way transportation notes scanned, and then the document information extraction makes sense of what's there, and it saves you time from doing that. So that's kind of what AI services are. We have many other AI services as well on top of that. So I'll talk about Generative AI Hub first. That's kind of the main focus. It provides full AI lifecycle management, allows an end-to-end support to develop, deploy, and manage custom-built AI solutions and AI-powered extensions of SAP applications. You can see the three different things that we think about. One is getting flexible access to the broadest range of models and compute capacity, accelerates AI development for you with access to all the frontier AI models, infrastructure, and tooling. Second thing is extending SAP applications with AI and building custom AI solutions. And the third thing is safeguarding your data and developing AI responsibly. You're in control of your AI lifecycle with SAP's trusted privacy and security policies and a centralized orchestration approach. A lot of our customers, when they get to the point of deploying, they have a lot of security and privacy questions. And we actually have a lot of documentation and information, but we want to make sure that you're comfortable at your company, at your level of what you want to deploy and the safeguards that we have in place for all of that. So you want to look at the individual components. We have access, which again is basically access to the 25+ large language models, out-of-the-box selection of compute resources, and orchestration models like content filters, data masks, and other capabilities. The idea is basically we have a goal of creating an abstraction layer where actually you give us a use case and we can recommend with our business benchmarks what the very best model is for you with the best ROI. For exploration and development, this is support for developers to build, create a comprehensive toolset for building custom AI solutions and model exploration. This includes our prompt editor, prompt management, prompt registry, libraries, the SDKs we support, and a fine-tuning service. We also have enterprise chat. For those of you who don't have a way to use ChatGPT, for instance, in enterprise space. A lot of customers that I've spoken with have told me, we love hearing about this, but we have no way to use this in an enterprise way. And so if that's the case, if you have a subscription to BTP, you can access our enterprise chat, and you pick any language model that we support, and you can compare and contrast them out of the box. And that's actually, I find very useful if you're like a manager and your team members are telling you about shipping new features. It's a good way for you to understand and get started. Deployment and delivery is about the steps, processes, and activities that are required to make a software system or update available to its users. Most IT organizations and software developers deploy software updates, patches, and new applications with a combination of manual and automated processes. This includes allocation of compute resources, training and serving templates, comparing a global model with custom trained models, and looking at benchmarks. It also means facilitating the efficient deployment and delivery of AI models and applications to ensure they're operational and accessible for end users, and having elasticity and scalability for dynamic handling of AI workloads. The AI orchestration aspect is the whole process of coordinating and managing the deployment, integration, interaction of various AI components within a system or workflow. AI orchestration aims to streamline and automate the end-to-end lifecycle of AI applications. And governance includes logs for tracking and auditing purposes, metering, monitoring, containers as a service, handling roles and responsibilities, all of that. And trust and security means all of our large language models are enterprise grade and don't store and learn anything from your interactions. This is a key point that people ask me a lot about. You have large language models, they're already trained, but I have my own private information. How do I make sure that doesn't go into language models? With SAP, all language models you use, whether they're hosted on SAP or through our hyperscaler partners, there's no learning on large language models is what you do. And that's kind of a key part of enterprise. Obviously, the work you do is private to your company and your tenancy, and we want to make sure it's protected. We also have compliance with SOC 2, NIST, ISO 27001, and more. And we want to ensure data privacy, data isolation, and robust security measures to protect the AI systems and the data you have. On top of the business data context, I want to talk about SAP HANA Cloud Vector Engine and also the knowledge graph. So with large language models, they excel at understanding and generating human-like text. They often lack specificity and control context of business data, though. So basically, the second L, language, in large language models means it understands language and can produce language, but it doesn't handle potentially business data. And so lack of this context leads to hallucinations and incorrectly generated information. And updating data requires extra time and cost with fine-tuning. We also have this idea of keyword search for retrieval is limited to the need for exact matches. If you're familiar with keyword search, which is the original idea of search versus embeddings, the idea of embeddings is that you can look at two words that are similar, but they're different words. In keyword search, if you looked at cat versus feline, those two words will not match. You have a document about felines, and you would do a keyword search for cat, you'll find nothing. But if you do an embedding, which is basically taking a mapping of words and putting them into a space, 2 dimensions is the easiest to explain, but it's an n-dimensional space. The word cat and the word feline will be very close, maybe lion as well, whereas dog would be somewhere else. And so when you do a search for cat, everything within that close distance would be found. And so the HANA vector engine is built to kind of extract and retrieve that optimally. This embedding is an essential and domain-agnostic API service that can be connected to any user interface. And one place you can use it is Joule, our digital copilot. The last thing I just mentioned is that basically, you can do all this without fine-tuning your models. This is kind of a way to avoid, this is just, in-context learning, taking a retrieval augmented generated index, pulling information out using embeddings, and pulling into the prompts for the inputs for the large language models. And it makes it a lot easier. You can always fine-tune models which are very specific. We have some for domain-specific languages like ABAP, but for more general cases, you can actually do this to make it easier. But one other thing that's useful is our knowledge graph. And so with knowledge graph, we offer our customers an easy way to bridge the gap between natural language and tabular data, providing semantics of the structured tabular world with foundation models. So SAP Knowledge Graph is business user focused, meaning that a knowledge graph is embedded functionality in SAP's products, including inclusion of Joule and all of our products. We're starting to deliver this with S4 in the beginning of 2025, but we'll add it to other products as well. And our vision is to realize SAP's knowledge graph as part of a data architecture in a way we will enable semantic representations across different lines of businesses. What I mean by that, and I'll give an overly simple example, is that different lines of businesses have different ways to describe the same thing. One example is like in capital markets, people use the word tranches. When I worked in Wall Street, we talked about tranches, which are basically the same as payments, or in maybe some industries, installments. And if you imagine you have 3 different databases or 3 different tables, and they have those 3 columns, you think they're 3 different columns. They happen to have the same numbers, the same dates, but you don't realize they're really the same thing. So the knowledge graph can help connect the dots between different lines of business. And because SAP has products in all lines, most business lines, we can actually connect up most of those dots. In addition to kind of this is a simple example, but a more sophisticated example is looking at relationships. There's the idea that if you have a supply chain table and you have a customer delivery table, there's some parts you need before you can deliver it, right? And so if the dates in the delivery table are before the supply chain arrival table, that's a problem. So knowledge graph provides pointers and directional graph, and I'll show you a visual example. And all this information makes it a lot easier for you to get better insights in your data. So part of the SAP knowledge graph, there's going to be the possibility that customers can build their own knowledge graphs as well, and extend into SAP's DataSphere. And so SAP DataSphere, SAP addresses data scientists and analysts, giving them an opportunity to explore artifacts and relationships. And Aaron and Steve will talk a little bit more about that in a moment too. So in this next video, we're going to see basically the knowledge graph in action. And so this graph visually, you have this DataSphere knowledge graph. You'll see it moving. You get insights into your data. The graph tracks the use of data with a deep knowledge of the mission-critical processes, as I mentioned. It creates a rich knowledge graph. The data is onboarded, transformed, and migrated. And you can sort of see it, how it's migrated, integrated there. The data ontologies here are created, representing information added to the knowledge graph. And the metadata captures how the information is used. And when you have multiple sources of data and schemas, all within the context, it's hard to capture all of them together. And the idea with SAP DataSphere is that we are able to capture that in a graph such as this. What I also want to talk about in the next video, short video, is basically how you actually, without knowledge graph, what happens when you have it with knowledge graph. So I mentioned Joule, our digital copilot. That's what we use to kind of have natural language to access business applications. What's going to happen here in this next video is that you're going to ask for all of your contracts in euros. That seems pretty simple. It's not even like a very complicated business term, but when you look at it, it won't, even in that simplest type of process, you don't get the right answer. So it says, show me the purchase orders in euros, and I'm at 3. I have 3 purchase orders. It shows you 5. It says, I don't really know what you're asking for, and then it asks you for the most recent purchase, and it doesn't know what it's doing. So instead, this is now the same thing with a knowledge graph enabled. Same 2 questions, and you'll see quickly that it'll understand. I mean, this is another simple example, just to show you that understanding what euros are as a currency, purchase orders having euro denominated, that's 3 purchase orders, show me the newest ones, get the newest ones. So the idea of knowledge graph is that it provides more knowledge, if you will, to your problems, and it connects the dots. And by having all of that, hopefully makes your experience a lot better with business data, with natural language. And so we're going to support this in Joule, in DataSphere, and we'll talk a little more about that. But that's the important value and portion of knowledge graph. You can also see that SAP offers many ways to consume AI. One of the ways is the AI Foundation, SAP BTP. And one of our strong partners is AWS, and that's why we're here. And so you can make use of AWS LLMs and connect them with our SAP systems directly and still stay contractually and architecturally within the SAP ecosystem. When following the clean core principles, especially when bringing ERP to the cloud, you want to build extensions on BTP. With the Generative AI Hub, you can therefore bring large language models to your processes in your SAP S/4HANA. And Generative AI Hub is based inside of BTP. And so you see here on the right-hand side, the models we support. We support the Titan models, the Claude models. As I mentioned yesterday, we didn't put it in the slide because it was hidden or secret until yesterday when we co-announced the fact that we're also delivering Nova and supporting Nova. Well, AWS is delivering Nova, and we're supporting all of Nova's models as well. So at BTP, we also want to bring AI closer to our customers. And this is accomplished in 3 ways. We want to embed Joule across BTP solutions and services to accelerate the productivity and make your teams more efficient with Gen AI-powered experiences. We want to build all the capabilities in our platform and allow you to build business AI that give you the competitive advantage, bringing SAP and non-SAP data together to power your AI solutions. And finally, we want to help you enable and leverage AI responsibly with secure access and data privacy standards. I mentioned earlier how important it is to look at responsible AI and for the whole process of understanding all your data that you use with the language models that stays within your tenancy. We actually only work with enterprise large language models and all of AI capabilities. We have a long set of standards where we review them before we deliver them to customers. But the best way to talk about use cases is to talk about customer references. One instance is an on-demand accountant and asset restoration obligation consultant who faces big challenges with lots of policy documents, complex employee onboarding, and operational delays during overloaded support season. So to tackle these issues, Vodafone built an AI-powered assistant, a chat-based solution with the help of Generative AI Hub. And he designed it to understand and respond to a wide range of policy and scenario questions. The solution not only improved the onboarding process, but also provided flexible multiple models to suit different strategies and scenarios. And security was ensured by authenticated user access and controlled profile-based permissions. The solution also featured S/4HANA integration to allow retrieval information as needed. And the outcomes were really, really good. There was an improved employee experience through natural language interactions, quick responses to accounting policy questions, seamless handling of policy changes, and automated GL postings that were fully compliant with mandatory fields. So this real-world example is just one example to demonstrate how products can drive enhanced efficiency and user satisfaction, making it invaluable for similar businesses. While Vodafone couldn't make it in person, they kindly agreed to do a short video, and I'll play that now to hear a little bit from them. I think the audio is not working.
Finance, we aim to achieve accurate, robust, and consistent accounting treatment across the global organization to ensure reliable financial reporting and regulatory compliance. The Gen AI Hub solution we've co-developed with SAP on the BTP platform is guiding our accountants on IFRS accounting policies. Short term, we are skilling up our teams with relevant accounting knowledge, making business information easily accessible and consumable. In the long term, we expect to see reductions in audit costs and fewer potential disputes. Our co-innovation with SAP has proven to be a highly productive collaboration, giving us fast access to advanced technology and at the same time accelerating the time to market. Overall, this is allowing us to optimize financial processes, increase profitability for continued success.
So that's one example. If many of you have other examples that you want to share with us, we can always have you on stage together in the future. So that's SAP's Business AI in a nutshell. If you want to learn more, I've added 4 different QR codes. You can look at some of the plugins, the experience blogs, the foundation model on AWS Bedrock, how we use it, build them with AWS, and also our Roadmap Explorer, which tells you about a roadmap in the future. With that, I want to hand off to Aaron to talk more about the Business Technology Platform. Thank you.
Thanks, Walter. Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Graber, and I'm part of our marketing and solutions group on BTP. And today I wanted to walk you through BTP in more detail. And so BTP is not only just a platform. It is strategic to SAP. It provides all the platform services that help us connect our SAP applications together. It solves business problems that our SAP applications can't do on their own. So for example, if I wanted to make a HR and finance application using SuccessFactors and S/4HANA, I can use the BTP to build that in. We can also connect to non-SAP applications as well. So we like to tie both data and applications together. And so with BTP, we're able to do that. We can integrate, for example, with S4, we can integrate with an Oracle ERP system or an old or a SAP ECC system. These BTP services are all available on AWS. We have over 80 services that are deployed on AWS infrastructure. I wanted to talk a little bit about the different areas of BTP. We have 5 categories of BTP services. We have app development. We have process automation capabilities. We can also integrate applications together. And then we can do data and analytics capabilities across our applications. And then Walter talked about our AI integration with Gen AI Hub and AI Foundation. That's all running on the BTP platform. So we want you to take advantage of BTP as you're going through your ERP journey. We are working very closely with our customers who are trying to make the cloud journey to S/4HANA on AWS, or in their journey to transform their services, automate their processes, do data and analytics. So we have a campaign that we've been running for the past couple years called Rise with SAP, which helps you move from your ERP system to the cloud, but you need to leverage the BTP services to help you with that. And so this gives you a little bit of a timeline of what we've done with AWS when it comes to Rise with SAP. And then also, we just announced yesterday that Grow with SAP is our public cloud offering that's available on AWS, and it's also available to purchase through the AWS Marketplace. So you can take advantage of that if you're going on that journey. So what I wanted to talk about with BTP is how does it relate to your cloud ERP journey? And we have really good pages. I have a QR code down here at the bottom which lets you see the different use cases of how you can integrate your data with your classic ERP system. We can also help, so we can do that with SAP Integration Suite, and that really is a service that lets you really connect these SAP and non-SAP applications together. We also leverage SAP Build to help extend and automate your cloud ERP system. We know that you may want to build, if you're a retailer, you may want to build an application that leverages your SAP investment, but as well as maybe some other areas that you want to include. And then lastly, we have the ability to do planning across different areas. And we have a data and analytics and planning platform with SAP Analytics Cloud, SAP DataSphere, and SAP HANA Cloud. And with that, you're able to get that 360-degree view of your business, leveraging all that data that's being used in your organization. So I'm going to talk about data and analytics and then hand it over to Siva to talk about our app dev and automation and integration. So with SAP, our data and analytics offerings with BTP, we have really 3 main product areas that we're focusing on. We focus on SAP Analytics Cloud, and if you have had a chance to use SAP Analytics Cloud before, it is one of the unique enterprise analytics solutions that are in the market because it includes not only analytics and machine learning, but it also includes planning. And so you can also build it as an application for like an analytic application that you want to use. And I'm going to show you an example of that. We also want to make sure that you can tie all that application data together, and that's where the business data fabric comes into place. We believe that you have all this rich data sitting in your organization, you want to tie that together, and so we use SAP DataSphere to do that. If you wanted to build a data AI application, you can use SAP HANA Cloud to do that, to create that intelligent data application. And so with that, we have customers like Waco that are using SAP Analytics Cloud for planning across the organization, across their 200 different profit centers. And they've moved from getting their planning data within like 3 days to now having this in real time. Messer Gas Company, they had the need to tie all these 12 different data sources together and bring those into one data center or data environment, and so they use SAP DataSphere to do that. So it provides their business users the self-service capabilities. And then the NHL, we had a reception last night with the NHL, and they've built a coaching and player mobile application on top of HANA Cloud that gives coaches and players immediate access to data on, when they do face-offs, when they, who do they put in, where are they best shooting on the ice. And so this is giving them very insightful information, and they're going through 30 gigabytes of data during these games to be able to look at that. And then also on NHL.com/stats, they also have over 100 million fans that are using it. So HANA Cloud, DataSphere, SAP Analytics Cloud are meant for scale. And so we want to make sure that you are aware of these solutions. And what I'm going to do is just show you just an example of what we're doing with some of the generative AI capabilities within SAP Analytics Cloud. So within here, what you're seeing is SAP Analytics Cloud is a enterprise analytics and planning solution that you can use to create any type of analytic. And what we're looking here is at an example of how Joule can help us figure out, well, what is our discounts on the location? What are we looking at as far as the discounts on products? How are our sales managers selling within this environment? But you can see we have a really rich digital Copilot experience here, which lets us use natural language query to be able to bring in these results. And what's also nice is that I can go in and dig into this information. I can also go in and add these results of these charts directly within my SAP Analytics Cloud story. So what we're seeing here is that I've seen the discount by sales manager here, and I want to bring this in along with my gross margin information. And so you can see it provides the best visualization that's available to you. And then lastly, we can also generate, we can use Gen AI to generate scripts depending on what we want to add. So I'm wanting to add in a year-to-date toggle in here, which now starts to look at, what are we looking at year-to-date versus maybe currently or the actuals. And so what's happening is I'm going to create this script using Joule, and it will start to generate that script for you on the fly. So not only is this an analytics engine, but this provides you an analytical application which allows you to see this information in real time. So it's generating right now the code for me, and now I'm able to see this showing up right within my story. So in summary, with SAP Analytics Cloud and DataSphere, these are really our two analytical approaches for really getting your data harmonized with DataSphere and leveraging Knowledge Graph now that's going to be part of DataSphere, as well as with SAP Analytics Cloud as that ubiquitous analytics layer on top of it. And then if you're looking for really rich planning offerings from our solutions, we can use SAP Analytics Cloud for that as well. With AWS, we we have the ability to do from a DataSphere perspective is to be able to federate data between our SAP applications and your AWS investments. Maybe you've invested in Redshift or Athena or in S3 buckets. And so what we're able to do is not have to have you replicate that data from AWS over into DataSphere. It can just stay where it's at, and then I can use SAP Analytics Cloud to then view that AWS data that's coming, that's maybe showing some point of sale data, and then I'm trying to map it with some financial data coming from S4HANA on the left-hand side. But this is really this is the power of why you would use BTP, because we have so many different business content that you can leverage for all of our applications, and it's all integrated with SAP Analytics Cloud and SAP DataSphere. So I'm just gonna just finish up here with just a quick demo of DataSphere if you haven't seen DataSphere. DataSphere is a cloud-native application, and so is SAP Analytics Cloud, but it gives me the ability as a business user. Now I'm putting on the hat as a sales ops engineer, and I'm trying to figure out my sales plan for this next year. And so I'm going to be connecting to AWS. I'm going to be connecting to BW. I'm going to connect to Microsoft SQL Server, and I'm going to connect to S4HANA Cloud. And so these are in real time. I am also going to be looking at Salesforce as my CRM to capture the opportunity data. And what's nice is, as a business user, I can pull in and connect to these models within these various sources. And as a business user, I want to create this one single data set for my sales team so that they can go look at their sales planning, they want to look at their sales history, they want to look at their opportunities. And so what I'm doing here is I'm connecting in those sources, and what you see here on the left-hand side is the list of sources that I could be pulling in from those various sources. And what I want to do is to start to drag and drop them onto my canvas so I can start linking them together. So the top one that you see here in the middle is pulling from AWS Athena. It's not replicating data into DataSphere, it's leaving the data where it's at. And what's going to be helpful with Knowledge Graph is it's going to even give you a simpler way to really see how these sources are connected to each other. But now I'm looking at Salesforce data within DataSphere, and I see all the different opportunity details that are available to me. And then I can also go to SQL Server and federate that query and be able to see the location information on where are sales really happening. And so you heard from Messer, that customer, they had 12 different data sources. DataSphere really ties all that information together. And then lastly, I have my singular data set called Sales All. And what that one is showing you is all the different data sources that are in there that I can then provide to my business users. And then I can preview that and make sure that I can, that looks like it's ready for all my business users to take advantage of. So this is a look at DataSphere. And SAP Analytics Cloud is is our offering that goes directly off of this Sales All model. And what you're seeing in here is now we're in SAP Analytics Cloud, and I can start to view and consume that pipeline planning and historical data. So if you want to learn more about SAP Analytics Cloud, SAP DataSphere, and SAP HANA Cloud, please click on these QR codes, and you can get started. You can try it out, and it's really easy to get up and running. And you can start testing your data sources. You can start building your AI applications, and you can also start building some really cool analytics. So at this point, I'm going to now hand it over to Siva to talk about application development and automation.
Thanks, Aaron. Hi, everyone. My name is Siva. I'm part of BTP engineering organization leading platform architecture. Additionally, I work closely with our hyperscaler partners, building the joint reference architecture and validating with customers like Vodafone that you saw a few minutes ago. So today, what I wanted to walk you through is the tools that you have today in BTP that helps you to build extensions for your S4 and your LOB applications, as well as build rich GenAI applications, right? So we have a very tight integration starting at the bottom with all our LOB applications as well as Cloud ERP, our S4 portfolio. So any extension or any enhancement that you want to do, any innovation that you want to do, you have access to all our tools that are APIs that are available, including the data, and you also have all the authorizations that you have already maintained in your S4 system carried forward, so that you don't have to go build these additional authorization layers so that a person who is not supposed to see whatever data would never get access to that data. At the layer on top of it, we see this whole portfolio where at the top we have SAP Build Code, which is a newer offering from us, where I'll show you a demo in a bit, that helps you to build applications using Joule, where you just have to just put in your questions and then it automatically generates it. Along with it, we have Build as well, where you would be able to pick and choose any language of your choice. You could build it in ABAP, you could build it in Java, you could build in JavaScript as well. So this is the Pro Code offering that we have, and you would be able to build a comprehensive application. We also have Build Apps, which is our no-code, low-code offering. That would be more for your business users, where they could build applications, just dragging and dropping and all the without having to write any code or script. So additionally, we also have the build process automation. Build process automation helps you to automate any kind of complex manual task. In Walter's part, he mentioned about the Concur use case. If you have a use case where you have a custom invoice or custom document that you want to capture and then kind of bring it onto your SAP system, you'd be able to combine that with our GenAI tools along with the business process automation and push the data seamlessly back to your S4 system. The last but not least is the build work zone, where this is a place where you could bring all of your applications and tools together. So it's one place for all your SAP needs, right? So you could access your S4, your custom applications, your enhancements, as well as your LOB applications, and host it in one single place. But overarching all of this is Joule, right? So we have Joule across all these different portfolios. I'll give you examples, and we also talked about how Joule is also available as part of our S4 and LOB applications. But you also have, along with Joule, other tools that Walter talked about, right? The GenAI Hub, the LLM models, the orchestration service, and everything. You could also use that in your build, right? So this is, for example, when we worked with Vodafone, we reused all of these tools. We used our GenAI Hub. We actually used the Claude Anthropic model, Sonnet, and 3 was what was available at that time. And we used JavaScript and the build tools for building this front end, as well as the HANA Vector Engine for building the embeddings. So you can reuse all of that tools today to build an innovative application like what Vodafone did. Additionally, this is the same set of tools that we use to build the solutions that we offer on top of our applications as well. So this is a really powerful set of tools, and you have a lot of flexibility as well. So what I wanted to also highlight is the part that these tools are simple yet powerful, right? So you can have one developer working on both the front end and back end and build the entire application, or you could have multiple teams working on different services within the back end, as well as different screens or pages in the front end too. So you have this really breadth of development opportunities, including all the complexities with the CI/CD and the entire lifecycle management. Additionally, You could build this as an extension for your clean core strategy, or if you already have an extension that's running in your S4 application that was built long time ago, and you want to now infuse Gen AI into that, you would be able to do that too. So we have tools and services available from BTP for that. And like I talked about, we have ProCode, like all the 3 programming languages that we support, and Python as well. If you're interested in building Python application and building it in the deploying it in the application runtime, you would be able to do that, and the low-code offering. Now, what I wanted to do right now is I wanted to double-click into the new tool that we have released, which is the Build Code, which helps you to kind of build new applications ground up without having to write a lot of code, all right? So now this is the build application. So here I just go launch Jewel. And what I'm trying to build is a loyalty management application. I wanted to award like 10 points for every 100 euros that's been spent, right? So I just open Jewel, and then I just put in the details about my application over here. And as a first step, it automatically generates the data model, right? All the complexity that you want in your data model, like customer, purchase order, points, and then all the rollbacks. So and it automatically generates the data model. Once the data model is available, obviously you would be able to change or ask additional questions or push in additional prompts for you to kind of modify that. But if you're happy with what it proposed, then you'd be able to just consume it as is. So here you could see it has generated a very detailed set of models, CAP model over here. The next step is obviously to add business logic. So now here we are in the service area where we can now create a new service that actually has the logic for pushing 10 points, 10 loyalty points for every 100 euros that's been spent. So whenever a purchase order is created, I just wanted this code to execute and then assign points to the member or the customer. So I have just written the logic in the prompt in natural language, and then it just takes a second or so, and then it automatically generates the JavaScript code that's necessary for you to allot points to be able to create code to allot points for your users. So here you could see the code is generated. You can just copy, and then you can just push it onto your application logic. It can generate really complex logic as well. If you have not tried it yet, I would highly recommend you to. And like I said, you would be able to override it. You have all the flexibility. It helps you get up and running very, very quickly, right? So now I'm just deploying this app. In this particular case, I'm deploying this in my local environment, and then you'd be able to see the whole application up and running. So all the tools that we have built, the CAP, the Fury, the Build, now combining that with the Gen AI, we are able to get this application up and running. So here you could also see that it has generated sample data as well here. So you would be able to get the application running and see how it looks and feels, and then now you'd be able to come back here and then to modify whatever you want. But we know that you have to, for most of your use cases, have to connect back to your SAP system, right? Your S4 system or whatever. So right within Build Code, you will be able to connect to our APIs. I'll talk about APIs in length when I talk about the integration suite. So from here, you would be able to connect to, in this particular case, the purchase order API that is available within the SAP system, right? So you have everything that you need to build the application. So this is a Build Apps, which is the low-code platform that we have today. So you would be able to build Gen AI application even within low-code apps as well. So if you have not tried it again, I would highly recommend you to try this as well. So the next one I wanted to highlight is, now that you have built application, you have deployed it, your Gen AI application or an extension to your S4 system, right? Now, there are customers who have asked us that they want to deploy this application in multiple AZs or in multiple regions and want them to be highly available. This is where we have worked very closely with AWS and leveraged the AWS services together with the BTP services. And wherever we are complementing each other, we leverage these. And we have published a very comprehensive set of joint reference architectures together with AWS. And in this particular case, we are leveraging Route 53 to make sure the application is highly available. So we have the application deployed in both region A and region B, and then you would be able to kind of have this Route 53 at the top. When one application instance goes down, the other one kicks in, or if you want to route the traffic intelligently to the respective regions, you would be able to do that, right? So that's build. Like all the tools that you have that you would be able to build your GenAI application or extension. What about integration, right? We talked about the API briefly. So integration suite is one of the most widely used BTP services. As you know, we have been providing this offering for a very long time. So I want to just give you a very high-level overview of what integration suite today is. If you look at the integration suite within the bubble, we have the cloud integration, which is nothing but our integration tool sets and the integration flows that helps you to replicate data from, move the data from your S4 into a SuccessFactor or SuccessFactor to S4 or to our LOB applications like, Concur, Ariba, and whatnot. And we also provide, through the Business Accelerator Hub, a pre-built set of integration flows that you would be able to leverage, right? So you can build your own integration flows, or you would be able to leverage the pre-built. And the API management is also part of our integration suite. In the build code example, we saw that you would be able to consume the purchase order application, purchase order API directly into your application. But if the user is not allowed to see or access certain purchase orders, how would you manage it? You are not going to kind of rebuild all the authorizations that you have in your S4. Now, when you access the APIs via our integration suite, the principal propagation makes sure that you don't have to kind of rebuild all the authorizations. Event mesh is a very powerful tool. So anytime you wanted to take any action based on an event, like say, hey, I created a purchase order and I wanted to trigger an event, you would be able to use the event framework both within our S4 system as well as with the event mesh within the integration suite, and be able to react based on the events business events that you actually generate within our S4 system. On top of it, we have all the other integration options. We have the application to application. You have the third-party integrations to Salesforce and ServiceNow and other tools, and also application to government integration. So we also have integration to government services wherever the public sector or your companies need information that needs to be pulled in, we have. And last but not least, we also have the business-to-business integration toolset available. All of this is available on AWS, right? So these toolsets are available today for your disposal. But what I wanted to talk about is the edge integration cell, right? But before I go into the edge integration cell, I wanted to talk about how we are also using GenAI within the integration suite. In this particular example, you could just see that a new integration, or what we call an iFlow, could be directly created with just a simple prompt. So in this particular case, we just said, hey, I want to move the purchase order or sales order data from my custom application back to my S4 system. And then once the prompt is created, it just processes it at the back end, and then your iFlows are already ready, right? So it gives you kind of the start that you need. But like I said, I wanted to talk about some of the customers that have already leveraged. So in this particular case, Dulux, the paint manufacturing company based in UK, they have over 150 plus integration flows, and they process over 500 messages every single day. We have Coca-Cola. This is HBC, the bottler. They have integration with all the carriers, hundreds of carriers and partners, where they have to push in the inventory details and the shipping details and everything, so they leverage integration suite. And not one single message have to be dropped, right? If it drops, then the shipment comes to a grinding halt. So we have reliability built into it, so 100% achievement on every single message that needs to be pushed out. Last but not least, Mahindra & Mahindra, they leverage this for their seamless integration between SAP and non-SAP systems, and they have been leveraging this for over like 5 or so years. Now, Integration Cell is our newest offering, and this is something that I think would be very interesting for our SAP customers too. One of the biggest requests from our customers had been, right, can we have the integration or specifically the iFlows running closer to where my RISE is or where my GROW is, right? BTP, as you know, is not available in all the data centers that the AWS offers, but your RISE may be in one of the data centers where BTP is not there. So what do you do? So to address that problem, we released the Edge Integration Cell. Now you can run your iFlows closer to where your RISE systems are, right? You don't have to kind of still go back to Virginia for all the integration. So this is going to be very powerful because, one, it makes sure that there is compliance in regions where the BTP is not available and you have a local compliance where it has to reside within the country. Now you can deploy this within the AWS region that is available there. And you would also be having a faster message movement. The latency has improved drastically because it sits next to or in the same data center or same AZ as your RISE system, right? So how do we do this? The integration suite is more like a design time for the iFlows, and the Edge Integration Cell acts as the runtime. So you design your iFlows in your integration suite and push it down to your Edge Integration Cell, and it continuously runs on the Edge Integration Cell. What is more awesome is you would be able to manage the infrastructure needed for your Edge Integration Cell. So what we have done is, together with AWS, we have published, this is a very simplified architecture, we have published a detailed architecture on how within your AWS account, you would be able to run your Edge Integration Cell, manage it, and then create everything that you want and push it down to your Edge Integration Cell. The mothership, the integration suite, would still be responsible for the life cycle of the iFlows. It will still be responsible for all the metering and all the other activities as well. It's incredibly powerful. All the customers that have used till now has been very satisfied with it. In case you wanted to try it, do let us know. So we have the QR codes over here. So please do scan the QR codes, and you'd be able to kind of try it out too. With that, that brings us to the end of this session. Aaron, you want to add? Walter?
I don't know if you can hear me. Okay. So we also have a booth at 235, and you can get yourself a SAP chip printed with your name on it, and you can find out more about BTP through that. And we also have a reception tonight as well at Smith & Wolinski, and we're going to be showcasing the Stanley Cup there tonight. So feel free to join us for that. But this is a really cool thing to have for you.